Let's go ahead and bring on Scott and Victoria. Now, here's the thing. Scott and Victoria run a very successful team down in San Antonio, Texas. If any of you are looking for a referral agent down there, I'm certain they would love to take care of your referrals. And this morning, in fact, Scott and I have a coaching call today at 11:15, and I was reviewing their numbers. And this organization so far this year is at 391 units closed and pended. 391 units closed and pended. So they're obviously doing something right. And what I wanted to have them come on and talk to you about is they run the majority of their operations team through cyberbacker. In fact, I believe Victoria, who is Scott's director of operations, is the only person that's actually on the ground in operations in San Antonio. So Scott and Victoria, thank you for being here. And I'd love for you to first, whoever wants to answer this, tell us about the structure of your operations team. What does that look like?
Okay, so we have Victoria. She was our first hire on the team. She came on as my assistant, yet also was the transaction coordinator at that time. She was taking care of everything on the back end. This was 6 years ago. And then we started bringing on in-house transaction coordinators at that time too. Yet over time, what we realized with the operations team we had, as well as the agents, there was like a little friction every now and then. So we started looking at, a virtual assistant, and we hired one about 3.5 years ago, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well at that time because we didn't do the correct training up front for them, and we didn't do everything that we were supposed to do in the back end, and we learned that after that. So then Jordan, about 3 years ago, he recommended cyberbacker to us, maybe 2.5 years ago. And Victoria did a lot of training on the back end to where we don't have anybody now in-house as far as ops. Everything is in the Philippines. So we have 5 cyberbackers, and Victoria can kind of explain how we have that. I know we have a lead cyberbacker that looks over all of the rest of them. She still does 4-on-1s with them weekly, as well as 15 protocols, still meets with them just like they're part of the team. So she can kind of go over how that structure looks on that end.
Yes, whenever we first brought on our first cyberbacker, like Scott had mentioned, we were utilizing a different company, a different virtual transaction company. And like Scott said, there was just a lot of things where I didn't realize how much training they needed up front, and just the expectations and the standards, because they weren't in-house. So it's a little bit different, the communication style that we had to have with them and the training. And so whenever we realized that and we brought on our first cyberbacker, like Scott mentioned, there was a lot of training that I had to do on the back end, just with training videos and the expectations that I was setting, just to make sure that there was no, the agents weren't getting any disservice from us, that we were still providing a very high level of service for our agents and making sure that they were taken care of with all their transactions. And so that first cyberbacker is now, she has had the opportunity to become a lead cyberbacker. So all the other cyberbackers that we have hired now, she is part of the interview process with me as well to get them onboarded. And then she's in charge of their training instead of me having to be in charge of the training. And it was setting that expectation up front whenever she was first brought on. Our goal is to continue to grow the operations division, make it as seamless and smooth as possible for all of our agents. And any new training that comes up, now she's the one that kind of documents that as well. And the other cyberbackers do too.
So I love this, you guys. So essentially you've decentralized your cyberbackers through for lack of a better word, a director of operations that is the cyberbackers, who then reports to the actual director of operations, who is Victoria. Did I say that right? So Victoria, what are the 4 roles of those people that are reporting to the lead cyberbacker? What roles do they play?
They're all transaction coordinators. So they just handle, we have one Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And so their shifts sometimes are together and some of them are separate. And yet they're all transaction coordinators. They're all cross-trained. They do listings and the buy side as well.
So nobody on our team writes contracts. When you look at ROI to ROE, return on investment to return on energy, where should their time best be spent? For an agent, they should know the contract, understand the contract. They're writing the contract, writing the listing agreements, doing the MLS drafts. All of that we've leveraged on a high level so they can focus on lead generating and being what's going to be able to get them their highest dollar amount every day.
I love that. So why did you guys decide to go this route?
Because, well, one of the reasons was you looked at my P&Ls and we had to look at some ways to be able to help cut costs. So that did help. And then just from a growth standpoint, it's been able to be where we have them every day, 7 days a week from morning to night. And for us to have somebody in-house, those type of hours too, wouldn't have made sense. So us having 5 cyberbackers was the cost we were paying for somebody, one person we had in-house, yet the work that is being done with the cyberbackers is 10 times better than the ones we had in-house. Just, and the way they feel is they're just happy to have a job. So there's a lot of, there's no entitlement there compared to when we did have some in-house, there was some sort of entitlement at times.
Got it. What have been some of the unexpected, and I think Victoria, this would be a good question for you. What have been some of the unexpected challenges that if someone's looking to follow a similar model or to offset some of their operations through cyberbacker, what have been some of the unexpected challenges that you've had?
Mm-hmm. I would say the biggest thing up front, if this is what someone's wanting to do, or go virtual for their transaction coordinators or their operations division, is the expectations that you set with them up front. That was one of the biggest differences, is why we were a little bit hesitant to do it at first, was making sure whenever they were onboarded, they're not going to be here with me. So the training was very different. So making sure that we had all the expectations set up front, because I could expect it in my head. And yet if I wasn't voicing that to them, or I wasn't giving them specific deadlines, or, hey, this is how long it should take for this task, or this is the type of service, or, the level that we're looking for from them, then we couldn't be upset that we weren't getting that result from them. So setting the expectations up front is huge. And then just making sure that they understand the long-term vision too. That's really big. Whenever we interview any agents, we make sure that we show them, our 5-year vision and our 3-year, and, not now to what we're doing this year and what we intend to accomplish, making sure that they understand that vision as well. And that this is not just something short-term, it's something that we want them to continue to grow in and have the opportunity to grow in that position.
So setting expectations, sharing the vision, as Brene Brown says, clear is kind. So essentially just being very, very clear with people as they come in. What advice would you all, either one of you, give to a rainmaker looking to add cyberbackers to their operations team?
It's the best move we've made as far as on the operations side. So I would recommend it from a P&L standpoint, and from just the work that they do is at a high level. We communicate through Slack. And even if it's like they need to write a contract, that's done within 10 minutes. So Victoria created a Google sheet for our agents that they fill it out within, the agent fills it out within 5 minutes for the contract, hit submit, goes to our cyberbacker, and then the contract's done in 10 minutes. So it's very, like, everything it's faster. So it was the best move we've made, we feel, on that side. I believe. Yeah, Victoria did put a lot of time in the training videos. So that's kind of that, you have to take a couple steps back to be able to move forward.
Victoria, anything you'd add to that before we wrap this up?
Just what Scott had mentioned at the end, you're either going to do the work on the front end or down the line whenever you're having to kind of scramble and figure it all out. So really getting the training down, the training videos, whatever way that people learn best, figuring out what that is for that cyberbacker, and then being able to show them that. So it was a lot, like Scott said, training on the front end, and yet now it's so seamless and so quick because we took all that time on the front end to train them up very well.
Cool. All right, you guys. Well, I know that there's probably some of you as rainmakers that are wanting to ask questions and things of that nature. I have a call with Scott today, and one thing he doesn't know about, but that I'm going to cover with him is how can we build what they've done into a course that we offer to all of you. And so before you all start emailing Scott and Victoria asking questions, hold off on that until I've had the opportunity to talk to both of them. But thank you, and both of you, for coming on today and sharing your insights, and for pioneering something that I think so many rainmakers and operations people could be looking to as solutions. Thank you for going first and figuring this out the way that you have.